Hi, fourth graders. We are getting started on a new section in social studies focusing on the Northeast region of the United States. Now, to understand that area of our country, we need to understand and look back at the history of our country and how we started. And part of that is the American Revolution. And we are going to study that today and look at a little bit of history. And so we're going to watch this quick little video that really gives us a lot of detail about the events that took place at the beginning of our country. So let's peek at it.
It all started back in 1607 with the first successful English settlement, Jamestown, Virginia, soon followed by Plymouth, Massachusetts. Over the next 130 years, cities developed, and in 1754, the entire East Coast was established as the 13 British colonies. The British were not the only ones establishing colonies. The French were starting their own colonies in the area now known as Canada. Then, the French and British started getting into arguments over territory. And then, from 1756 to 1763, the French and the Indians fought against the British and the colonists in the French and Indian War, also known as the 7 Years' War. The colonists and the British won the war. To make it official, the British and the French signed the Treaty of Paris in 1763. Not only did the treaty end the war, but it also granted the British control of the territory from the Mississippi River to the Appalachian Mountains. But the war had left the British with a bunch of debt, so they taxed the American colonists a lot. And then, in 1765, they passed the Stamp Act, and all important papers and documents needed to be produced in Great Britain and have a special stamp, and the American colonists had to pay for this too. Even with new territory, colonists were very angry that the British were robbing them of their hard earnings by making them pay unreasonable taxes on things like tea and postage. And there was nothing they could do about it because they didn't even have any representation in the British Parliament. They had had enough, so they decided to stop paying taxes completely. But they were just getting started. In 1773, 3 British ships delivering tea from the East India Tea Company were ambushed by colonists disguised as American Indians. They dumped all the tea into the harbor. This act of aggression went down in history as the Boston Tea Party. The British were steamed and started assembling troops to move against the American colonists. Paul Revere, a silversmith from Boston, received this top-secret information and jumped on his horse, warning, "The British are coming, the British are coming." The next morning, on April 19, 1775, the first attacks from the colonists against the British happened in Lexington, Massachusetts, with the shot heard round the world. This marked the start of the American Revolutionary War.
All right, friends. So that shows us a little bit about when our colonists came to the Northeast area of our country and started the United States of America and what that looked like. And so we are going to do a little bit of exploring, and you can do this on your own in a moment. And you can check out in this website to research some facts about the American Revolution. And again, it tells us all about how the British were wanting the colonists to pay all this money with all those taxes, and the colonists finally said no because they had no say in the government. And so they rebelled, and that is what caused the Revolutionary War. So I'm going to show you this website and check it out so that way you will know what to do when you get there. All right, friends, when you are exploring on your own and you click on that page from our slides and you get to this link, you will be able to click on any of these different little blurbs to learn about parts of our history involving the American Revolution. And so I'm going to click on this one that says Paul Revere because I remember in the video that we watched, it told us a little bit about him. And so I see this statue, and I'm going to read over here about Paul Revere, and it says, he was made the famous midnight ride that warned the American army of a British attack. Revere lived in Boston and worked as a silversmith. He was part of a network of American patriots that tried to keep the British Army from attacking Boston and the surrounding areas. On the night of April 18, 1775, General Thomas Gage ordered redcoats, those were the British soldiers, to search for military supplies that were hidden in the town of Concord, Massachusetts. Paul Revere was one of the men sent out on a horse to warn the patriots in the surrounding areas that the British were coming. His mission was to alert leaders John Hancock and Samuel Adams in Lexington. Hancock and Adams escaped just as the first redcoats arrived to arrest them. So really, I learned how Paul Revere had a big part to play in warning the people and the patriots that the British were coming. So when you are exploring, you can click on any of these and you can read about these important parts of our history. Now, after you've done this, you will have a form to fill out on Seesaw that shows and that you need to give some information. So I'm going to hop back on over and show you that page and what you will complete for your assignment today. Okay, friends, so after you have completed some research and you've explored on that last website about our American Revolution, you will have this section to fill out on Seesaw. And so you will need to complete 2 of these pages and you will fill in the section you chose to research. So in here, I would write Paul Revere. Remember, he was who I read about. And then I need to include 2 facts that I learned from that section. So one fact that I might write in is that Paul Revere had a job to warn the patriots that the British were coming. And another fact that I learned is that he told Hancock and Adams about the warning that the British were coming to arrest them. So those were 2 facts I learned. Now that I've finished with that, I'm going to go back to that website, explore some more, choose at least one more section to research, and come back to Seesaw to share what I've learned. Good luck, 4th graders, and have fun exploring.